So this is the Using Theory presentation by Jose Gutierrez, myself, and my partner Savannah Torrance. For this project, we interviewed Tara Thompson, and she currently serves as the Assistant Director of New Student Connections at Georgia Gwinnett College. But before that, she earned her BS in Wildlife Biology from UGA and then her MS in Biology from Indiana State University. The way she ended up in higher education was through recruitment. So after working in consulting in wildlife biology, she decided that was too stressful, it was not for her, and she decided to become a recruitment coordinator for Ohio State University School of Environment and Natural Resources. From there, she transitioned to admissions counseling at Indiana State University, and then she became an admissions counselor at GGC, which is how she ended up in her position. Caitlin Wine, on the other hand, which is Savannah's interviewee, is currently the Assistant Director of Operations and Events at Georgia Tech. But before that, she earned her BS in Social Work from Central Michigan University, then her MED in Higher Ed, and is currently working on her PhD in Higher Ed Leadership at Georgia Southern University. When she graduated with her BS in Social Work, she did 6 months in addiction recovery, but it wasn't for her, so she decided to pursue something different. And so she ended up pursuing an MED at FAU. And then at FAU, she worked in aquatics and facilities. And then when she transitioned to Georgia, she became a specialist for aquatics for the rec center, then moved up to senior coordinator for facilities and operations. And now she's at Georgia Tech doing pretty much the same thing. So using theories within their work and practice. But before we get into specifics about that, it's important to kind of recap about all the different identity theories that we learned in class. Student development theory pretty much incorporates the development of students, and it teaches us how they not only develop but also rationalize and behave, and also what their limitations are and why they aren't able to sort of progress within their identity. Obviously, every identity has different stages, and so in trying to understand the student, we also understand their identity a bit more. Now, in terms of career and using these theories in careers, Tara specifically likes to understand the intersectionality of race, gender, and sex in higher education. She does train and work alongside students. Her student ambassadors is what she calls the students who kind of help her at orientation. And so the training that goes into developing these students to be successful with their role involves understanding their identity, understanding who they are, where they come from, and trying to create a team where everyone's comfortable with one another. And obviously, to do that, people need to be open about who they are and how they want to be recognized. Caitlin Wine, on the other hand, is very similar, except she focuses her energy, and she utilizes student development theory specifically for employment development. So she wants to see how her students are learning and using their skills in other parts of their lives, so essentially how they kind of transfer over. She also likes to implement changes based on experience on how to better serve her students. So the benefits of using theory, given that Tara doesn't have a background in higher education, she's had to learn a lot of it on the job. So this is a learning phase for her. Luckily, she has her director, who is an alum of the GSU higher ed program. And so with her, she's able to kind of learn about these theories that she kind of lacked from her undergraduate in her graduate experience. However, she does notice that students are constantly changing and evolving, so that's kind of what keeps her motivated in terms of trying to learn about all these different theories. She's really specifically mentioned that gender development and sexuality development has been on her mind, given that a lot of her students are openly part of the LGBTQ community. So she wants to make them feel comfortable alongside their other colleagues. And then Caitlin, she really uses a theory based on the situation. She doesn't really know the answers to everything, so she always falls back to what she learned in her MED, and by kind of putting pieces together, she can identify what theory she might want to use. So if a student is, from a specific economic background, she'll probably use the social class identity theory, and she will try to understand how they function in the workplace. So some of the challenges with using these theories, again, Tara doesn't have this background like many other higher ed administrators, but she does say that theories cannot always be applied to everyone. So it's kind of hard because every individual student has their own sets of identities, and so trying to understand, all of the theories with that person can be kind of hard. And then Caitlin likes to see the big picture, because sometimes even though a student, is questioning, their gender identity or they're developing within their own race, putting the theory into practice can be kind of hard. So she likes to kind of divide things into big picture and little picture, right? So connecting the overall theories into the everyday portions of the jobs. Now, advances in higher education. So a lot of what Tara uses or has learned about theories has come from conferences. She specifically went to San Diego last year to learn about not student development, but about ways of challenging her department with being more innovative, incorporating more of the student voices to the orientation. So that's kind of what she does to kind of keep up with higher education policies and expectations, while Caitlin Wine obviously is currently pursuing her PhD, and she also attends conferences. And so one of them is NASPA. That's one that she likes to attend, and what she learns from that conference, she comes back to her department and she contributes in that manner. In terms of the advice that they gave us, Tara Thompson is currently reading Why Do All the Black Kids Sit Together in the Cafeteria, to learn more about like race development and race relations in the US. So her advice is just, for me at least, is to continue reading and learning about student development theories. Things are kind of changing every year. So read was her big emphasis. And then Caitlin Wine is just being open-minded, really don't limit yourself with the opportunities that you have. Take advantage to learn about students, developmental theories, and how we can support those that we serve. For me, I'm a big proponent of the LGBTQ community. Now it's QIA, so it's kind of growing in terms of its acronym. And race relations, both of which are big components of myself. Me being part of the community, I kind of keep up with LGBTQ rights and expectations, pronouns and all that kind of stuff. And then given that I am a man of color, I do really want to understand race relations, much like Tara has. And so those are my two focus areas. Reactions, I was actually pretty surprised that Tara was reading a book that I really enjoyed as well. So that was really cool. And then I was also given an opportunity to network within my institution. So I don't really see her as much. Although we did work in admissions together, it was always off and on because I recruited and she recruited. So it was just nice to sit down with her and network and understand what she does now, which kind of interests me. So it's good to have that connection. Savannah Torrance, on the other hand, she really enjoyed meeting her interviewee. She also really liked how a lot of the certifications that she's earned over the years have helped her understand students a bit more. So she has a safe space certification, for example, diversity and inclusion certification. So as a higher education administrator, no matter what you do, it's important to educate yourself because the student body is changing every single year. It's becoming more and more diverse, and people are becoming more vocal about who they are and how they want to be acknowledged. Now, if we are going to compare sort of our interviews, or our interviews, the biggest difference is just the theories. Obviously with Tara, it's more LGBTQ or gender sexuality theories and race theories, whereas Savannah's interviewee, Caitlin, was more focused on employment development and how these students sort of gain knowledge about being professionals and translating that into the real world. And that's pretty much our presentation.